All right, let's do some questions. And just whatever. Just fire them away. Tell us who did it. Who said
this is from Deshaun Ellis. Here we go. Let's see if I can.
Is anybody putting in where they live or anything like that?
You know what? If I tell you, I have to close this window and open a different window.
Oh, don't worry about it.
So,
okay.
Deshaun, thank you for your question. I'm sorry, I don't know where you live.
Okay, fire away.
Hi, Investor Family, Phil and Danielle Towns. My name is Deshaun. I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been listening to you guys' podcast
there you go.
for about a year and a half now. Great teachings, great dialogue, great discussions. I also purchased Danielle's book, which is phenomenal to say the least.
I like this guy.
I have a question, more so for Phil. Earlier in the series, I want to say around episode 100, you discussed the company that you purchased or bought into and had some failures. I wanted to get your perspective on what your thoughts is around major projects around carbon capture. I've been looking into a company called Occidental Petroleum, ticker symbol OXY. And one of the things that they're working on is the carbon capture project. So I really wanted to get your insight in what red flags or things that would caution you against newer technologies of this sort, being that you've already invested in a company similar to this. If you can give me any insights or any sort of information or any dialogue, that would be extremely helpful. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Deshaun from Phoenix, Arizona. By the way, I have to mention to you guys that my dad has not heard these questions, and neither have I. We just picked them randomly. So, Dad, do you know anything about carbon capture or Occidental Petroleum?
Well, a little bit. I mean, carbon capture is basically the idea is to sequester or put carbon away out of the this is carbon coming out of power plant generation where you're generating power, and capture it before it gets released into the atmosphere. So the idea is to have a better green world, and then it gets tightly compressed and it gets injected into geologic formations that are safe and secure for permanent storage. And the thing is, Deshaun, is that these are really complex new technologies, as you're probably alluding to, where I got burned in a construction of a green technology plant that was going to be a phenomenal plant to reduce some of the toxic materials that get produced when steel dust is created, and it ended up being a disaster. Not so much because of the technology, though, Deshaun. It became a disaster because they had some glitches in the technology, and that resulted in borrowing from the management team, who then lied about it, and we're still trying to put him in jail. So that's an ongoing lawsuit that I can't really comment on in great detail, except that these SOBs need to be in jail. So you're running into something of a similar problem, and that, except the difference is this was a smaller company run by people who turned out to not have integrity. Occidental is a huge oil company, and they have a board of directors that pays very close attention to what's going on out there, as does every major oil company. And they're all oil companies are trying to make a shift. ExxonMobil is trying to make a shift toward a green production, where they can take the heat off of producing oil, right? And I don't mean that as a pun. It means literally the pressure comes off if they can keep carbon from going into the atmosphere. So they're looking for ways of doing that. And they're also looking for going into other green forms of energy. BP is announcing a major initiative to green energy, into the future. And they're all looking at, the potential end of carbon-based fuels down the road somewhere, right? They keep finding more of it, but somewhere down the road
they're also looking for ways to make money from that carbon, if possible, and from storing it. I know, like in the startup world, I've sat in a few presentations about carbon capture technology companies, and it's the kind of thing that I know is too hard for me. I don't understand it well enough to be able to discern the differences between various companies very well. But the gist of it is that there's a heck of a lot of new technology around this area. And when that happens, big companies want to get in on the action and don't want anybody, or they buy their way in and buy the smaller companies that are coming up with the cool ideas. So I think that's probably what Occidental's doing.
Sort of a valuable, sort of phrase about this is that the stock market, experienced people in the stock market tend to buy the rumor and sell the news. And that means that often the end result of the rumor is not nearly as good as the rumor itself. And you want to get in while there's all this speculation driving the momentum of the stock. This is not, of course, how we invest, but this is the idea. You catch the momentum wave, which is how most of Wall Street invests, and then you get out before the momentum stops. And the momentum tends to stop on the news that, oh yeah, we didn't cure all the ills of the world. So two things about technology. Number one is that you only want to buy into companies that you can see clearly where they'll be in 10 years. And what Danielle and I are telling you guys over and over again is that it should be as simple as going down the road from where you live, if you live in a good neighborhood, and buying a house at a super great price, at a 10% yield on your purchase price. So if you buy the house for $300,000, you should be getting $30,000 a year net income off of that before taxes. And if you can do that in your neighborhood, in a good house, solid foundation, nothing wrong with it, you are making a really good investment. Even if the house price doesn't appreciate a great deal over the next 10 years, it will be worth more in 10 years because why? Your neighborhood's improving, the quality's improving, it's got good schools. So this is all of the moat aspect of a real estate deal where you have protection against competition because it's a great neighborhood and they're not making great neighborhoods everywhere.
So how does that relate to like companies that are talking about new technologies coming in when we don't really know what's going to happen with them, which I think is kind of the gist of that question?
Well, that's good thought, because what I'm looking at when I'm looking at buying a house down the street is I can see 10 years pretty clearly.
Oh, yeah.
I know where it's going to be in 10 years. The rents will be higher, right? We have a little inflation, maybe a lot of inflation. Rents are very likely to go up unless, of course, you live in New York City right now. And so you're going to expect a certain degree of improvement in the productivity of this investment. And that's because you know the investment well and you know what it's all about in terms of its market. Can you say that about Occidental Petroleum? Can you say, yeah, I'm really quite confident that 10 years from now, the company itself will be larger and more productive. And if I can buy this at a great price today because oil companies are pretty down in the market, then I'm going to have a great investment. The problem is you're adding one more element, which is now in order to see clearly, we'll have to see into the carbon capture technology. Are they doing better than Exxon? Are they doing better than some little company in a garage? You know, the future Apple that's out there in this world. So the problem I've got with that kind of an investment is I don't have the expertise to see that and to look out 10 years and go, oh yeah, Occidental, rock on. They're going to be bigger in 10 years. Now I might be able to say that to some degree of comfort about just the oil well production side of the business, but it sounds to me like you're really interested in a green type investment, and that's why you're looking at Oxy. But just remember, the only part of Occidental Petroleum or Exxon or BP or Chevron that you can really have any confidence about, if you have any, is their oil production side of things. That's the part that you can have some degree of predictability about. But if you don't like that degree of predictability, you're not sure what's going to happen to that, then you can't buy into this. The carbon capture, complete crapshoot, and something you don't want to do as a Rule 1 investor.
But I think you made a nice point, which is for you looking at that and for me looking at that at an oil company coming up with new technologies is not something that we really have much insight into. Neither of us are oil industry experts, but maybe he is, like for those listeners who have that kind of scientific expertise or even oil field in specific expertise, that could be an area where you really have an edge in your investing. And if so, go for it.
You guys, if you enjoyed this video and you feel it was valuable in teaching you more about how to invest, hit the like button and please share the video with your friends. And if you want more investing content, subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to click the button on the screen. We got a free gift for you. Thanks again for watching.